bone deep down to the marrow stupid, as far as I'm concerned.
There you go. That's one way of putting it. Republican Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana criticizing a lawyer who works for RFK Jr., who has asked the FDA to revoke its approval of the polio vaccine. We'll have more from Capitol Hill on RFK Jr.'s bid to become the leader of HHS.
I've got to say, though, Willie, it is fascinating. We talked about this before, that you're going to have senators, some of whom you may not expect, have different issues with different different nominees, and with a margin so small, that could make all the difference in the world. And it's going to be very interesting to see if RFK Jr. is going to back off his autism claim on autism and vaccines. He hasn't done that yet. And there are a lot of people like Senator Kennedy that grew up in states in the Deep South that saw just the extraordinary difference in southern states and poorer states, like a lot of them that I grew up in, that the difference that vaccines made over the years.
Yeah, we've seen some suggestive criticism of some of the nominees, that they had more questions, they look forward to the hearings. This yesterday from Republicans, Tom Tillis was another one, Republican of North Carolina, just full-throated criticism of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and it's pretty easy to do. I mean, he put it out there. He's saying the polio vaccine, he is on tape saying the polio vaccine has killed more people than polio itself over the years. So that's on tape. So I don't know how he walks away from all the things that have become his life's work over the last couple of decades.
He said that among other things.
Yeah, it's who he is. It's effectively why he's a prominent figure now, is because of all this vaccine skepticism and the suggestion debunked by science that these vaccines are connected to autism.
Also, Also ahead, NBC's Keir Simmons joins us live from Moscow with the latest on the bombing attack that killed a top Russian general. Plus, the man charged in the murder of the CEO of United Healthcare could soon be headed to New York. We'll have the very latest developments in that case. And Donald Trump, awake just a few hours ago, posting about one of his perceived political enemies, Liz Cheney. It comes as House Republicans are calling for the former Congresswoman to be investigated for her work on the January 6th committee.
And Jonathan O'Meara, Republicans in the House are going to have a one-vote majority. They are living in a bubble. They're going to have to work with Democrats, and they're going to be able to pass Mike Johnson's bill only if Democrats allow that to happen. And you have these subcommittees coming out talking about arresting political opponents, like recommending investigations into that. I mean, the margins are so bare in the House and in the Senate. These people are acting like they won by 20, 25 percentage points. And I will say, even inside the people close to Donald Trump, they have been saying for weeks now, no retribution. He's not going to do retribution. We don't have time for retribution. I mean, this sort of talk early on, it's bad for everybody. It's bad for the House Republicans. It's bad for Donald Trump. It's bad for, the markets. I mean, this is what we've been talking about. Retribution blew back on Democrats through the years. Donald Trump will probably be the first to say that he got elected in part because he was sitting at a criminal defendant's table this summer. Made him a martyr. You put Liz Cheney there, or you even talk about it. And you put out these stupid reports that this House subcommittee has put out. You're making her a martyr. You're making her bigger. You're making her more powerful. You're making her everything
more important
that these people would not want to make her. But they're doing it. They're playing right into her hands.
Yeah, in one of Trump's overnight Truth Social posts, he claimed he had the largest mandate in 129 years. That's obviously not true at all. He won by less than 2 points, but also neither do Republicans. The margin in the Senate, relatively slim. And as you say, the House, it's about one vote. They're going to need Democrats' help. This is not the way to get it. And we're seeing here a familiar dynamic that we saw the first Trump administration as well, where his team will put together a plan, even occasionally trying to work cross the aisle, work on immigration, try to get a deal done, and then Trump himself gives in to his worst impulses, those impulses of division or revenge or whatever it might be, and blows it up himself with some sort of tweet or Truth Social post or other irrational action. And we're seeing that already now, where he is going to come. He doesn't have a 129-year mandate, but he's got a unified Washington. There is an ability to get some things done that he wants at the beginning of his term. It's not going to happen if the focus is retribution, if the focus is revenge on political enemies, which certainly would alienate Democrats and make them not incentivized to help him at all.
Well, and it's very simple. You've got a one-vote majority in the House. You see how close, Mike, things hang in the Senate. I do think that things are going to be much different on January the 20th when we move out of a bubble where everybody's just looking at X and Trump world, and they're thinking that's the reality. You look at the Emerson poll that recently came out, even tariffs against Canada, wildly unpopular.
The state of Canada.
Wildly unpopular. And by the way, that's a great way to get Canadians actually united together. You look at pardons for January 6th. Convicts, wildly unpopular. Again, right now they're in this bubble. They won. And so all these Republicans are running around acting like they had a mandate. They won by one percentage point. They won Wisconsin by less than 1 percentage point. Let me just say, and I was talking to Meek about this yesterday, everybody needs to take a deep breath. Everybody needs to take a deep breath. Because people are going, oh, this is the age of Elon. Oh, this is the age of the bro culture. Oh, America has darted so far right. Let's take Wisconsin, the bellwether state of bellwether states. Kamala Harris lost by less than 1 percentage point because of the bro culture, right? Wrong. They elected a lesbian woman as senator on the same day. The same thing with Michigan. Oh, the bro culture. No, they elected a woman senator the same day that Kamala Harris lost by one and a half points. A woman who was running the shortest presidential campaign in American history, right? So all I'm saying is here we are. Everybody's overreading this. Everybody's saying, it's like sackcloth and ashes for Democrats. Oh, we've got to change everything. Whoa, this was the greatest defeat in the... No. There's no sweeping change here as far as what the American people said. It's like 1 percentage point. And come January 20th, you start looking at policies. If they try to dart too far one direction or the other, we're going to see what happened in the first term. Democratic wins in 17, 18, 19, and 20. Everybody needs to be very careful not to overread the 1% landslide.
Well, you're right about all of that. The Republicans in the House with a one-vote majority, they have become TikTok tough talk party. That's all they do. They say what they said yesterday about Liz Cheney and hopes to get 30 or 45 seconds on TikTok and, shovel it out to their districts.
And then what do they have to do today? They have to depend on a lot of Democratic votes to even keep the government running.
Yeah, but there's another element to it. And I would submit that it's around the president-elect. Tweeting at 3:30 this morning, whatever it was he tweeted or texted or
Truth Social.
Truth Social, sorry.
No,
Truth Social, correction. I don't want to be charged with anything. We overreact to him. We overreact to every excess, every lie, every bizarre statement he makes, which is what he wants and what he's getting again. It's how he got elected in 2016. It's how he got reelected the second time out in November. We overreact to everything. I can tell you just ordinary people out there in the country, when they hear this, when they hear what he said, when he hears what we say about it or other people say about it, and millions of people write about it in the papers, you know what they do? They tape their eyelids open in order to stay awake. They're so sick of it.
Right.
But
right.
we continue to do it.
Well, Eddie, talk about the danger of Democrats overreacting to a 1% landslide. And again, I talked about Wisconsin. I just want to keep going back because everybody's overreading this as some radical swing to the far right, where in Wisconsin, Kamala Harris lost by less than 1 percentage point, and the Wisconsin voters reelected a lesbian Democratic senator. Doesn't sound like this sweeping lunge to the far, far right to me.
No, I think you're absolutely right in that regards, Joe. And I think we need to begin to think more carefully about the split ticket voting that happened across the country, not only with regards to senatorial campaigns, but also with regards to the abortion initiatives on the ballot initiatives as well. We need to kind of unpack that and not draw these conclusions to lead to abandoning the base and the like and the other thing. But I think the interesting thing the point that you're making that I think we need to emphasize and underline is that we don't need to overreach or overreact, but we also need to understand the damage that could be done by these folk while they're in office. So they will overreach. They will do what they do. And we don't need to overreact, but we need to be mindful of the damage that they can do
and
in
cover
4
it.
years.
Also with us this morning, columnist and associate editor for the Washington Post, David Ignatius, who will be perfect as we cover our top story this morning. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Billy.
I want to get David's take on this. Russian officials say a man has been arrested in connection to yesterday's assassination of a top general. According to Russia's investigative committee, the suspect is a Uzbekistan national in his 20s who was promised $100,000 and European residence as payment for detonating a bomb in Moscow and killing the head of Russia's nuclear, biological, and chemical defense forces. Ukraine's security service already had claimed responsibility yesterday for the death of the general. And joining us now live from the site of the bombing in Moscow, NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons. Keir, what more can you tell us?
Well, really, it's pretty extraordinary to be standing here, honestly. This is where Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov was assassinated just over 24 hours ago. You can see the damage outside the door of his apartment block, the metal twisted, the bricks blown off and flowers left. As you mentioned, Willie, there is now a bombing suspect. The Russian media is naming him as Ahmed Kabanov, 29 years old, as you say, from Uzbekistan, detained outside Moscow, and Russian media is showing a video of him apparently confessing, although, of course, that was filmed, according to Russian media, by the Russian authorities, and we only have the Russian authorities' testimony that he has indeed confessed to what happened here. Standing here, you can see what a precise operation, honestly, this was, because Kirillov would have walked out of this apartment, and then you could see in the video of the explosion that his car was parked out